and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about ATEEZ Halazia, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of the prologue, the lyrics, and the music video to see what they can tell us about this new chapter of the story. Halazia is a song co-written by Hyunjung and Mingi that expresses a message of hope that is able to brighten a world full of darkness and fear. The title of the song is a reference to ATEEZ's previous song Hala Hala, which in turn was the acronym of the phrase Hearts Awaken Live Alive. Back in Treasure episode 2021, this was the track that first introduced us to ATEEZ, who are ATEEZ's fedora-wearing alter egos from the Streetland. As we saw in the previous chapters of the story, the Streetland is a dystopian parallel dimension controlled by a mysterious ruler called Z. Z's government banned art and used technology to deprive people of emotions and free will. In this reality, ATEEZ are the leaders of a resistance called the Black Pirates, whose goal is to literally awaken the hearts of people using music and dance. Through art, the Black Pirates wake people from the illusion that keeps them compliant and essentially provoke emotions that reminds them of what it means to be alive. This is the true meaning of Hearts Awaken Live Alive. It's the mission at the core of their movement, but as we saw back in the Fever series, the rebellion came to a stop the moment the Black Pirates were captured by the Android Guardians. Before getting captured himself, the Hyunjung of the Black Pirates used the Chromer to ask ATEEZ for help in a last and desperate attempt at saving their world. By taking possession of the Chromer, ATEEZ became the unwitting new heroes of a world they never knew existed, and in doing so they provided a new source of light to a society left with none. With Halazia, we see that the echo of this new hope is starting to spread, but this time not really from the perspective of ATEEZ, but rather from the perspective of the voiceless victims of this regime. As Ming himself explained, the spin-off from The Witness is a single album that, as the title implies, tells the story from the perspective of an anonymous witness. It's not from the point of view of the main characters, but rather from the perspective of one of the many people who are given a new hope after everything seemed lost. Since this is a spin-off, the story portrayed in this comeback uses another point of view to add more information to the lore that we already know. Back in Guerrilla, for instance, the story showed us ATEEZ fully integrated in the resistance of the Black Pirates. They were fighting the good fight and actively participating in the pirates' effort to destroy the regime. In Halazia, however, we take a little step back, in the sense that while the main plot is momentarily pushed back until the next episode of the World Series, we get to see the story from a different POV. As the prologue reminds us, for instance, this is a world that lost gravity where people also lost emotions. From the perspective of the witness living through this situation, people did nothing but wait for the Black Pirates to return, meaning that this is a spin-off that takes place when the pirates are still imprisoned in the bunker of the Android Guardians like we saw back in Deja Vu. Since this is the account from the witness, they have no idea what happened to them, so even if people are still waiting for their return, deep down they also think that they will not be coming back. In both the prologue and the video, for instance, we see that the powerful presence of the Black Pirates has been replaced by an eerie scarecrow wearing their mask and fedora. This is a strong imagery that very much conveys the fear and hopelessness of the witness. For all they know, the symbol of their resistance is gone. From being the embodiment of Heart Awakening Live Alive, now all that is left is a lifeless thing that has been chained, silenced and blinded. As we see Sangwa posing in front of it, it almost seems like a crucifixion, if you will, thus recalling a sacrifice made for the good of the many. When everything seemed lost, however, the sound of a bell resonated in the air and a new eight made their appearance. These new eight are obviously ATEEZ themselves, who have come from a different world in order to save the one the pirates were trying to protect. Their arrival represents a new hope for the people in the Streetland, so this spin-off from The Witness essentially describes the growing feeling of hope that their appearance has awakened. In the lyrics, for instance, the song opens with an invocation to Halazia to be the light in a barren world. As the people try to resist, their loss of emotion is something that they're slowly getting used to, but even if they get paralyzed by a shackled freedom, that is, by a system that doesn't physically restrain them but indoctrinates them, a small fantasy within themselves makes them want to fight for the love they lost. The little fantasy that awakens within the witness is Halazia itself. That is a fantasy where their hearts are awake with feeling and their lives are lived to the fullest. When this fantasy creeps into their hearts, something incredible happens. Despite the little bluebird lost its voice, whispers can be heard, and these whispers are the beginning of a deep echo that will eventually overturn the world. Very simply put, the arrival of ATEEZ triggers a literal awakening in this reality because their presence gives hope to the hopeless and voice to the voiceless. Those who were silenced start to whisper because emotions awaken within them, and this whisper will eventually grow into a voice that will change the world. Now these lines are actually very important here because the little blue bird is a key symbol of the comeback as a whole. Not only we see a blue feather on the cover of the album, but in the prologue the numbers that we see behind the captain are a cipher that very much references Bluebird. On top of that, the literal witnesses who join ATEEZ in the video are dressed in blue, and by the end we also see a bluebird flying in the sky. Interestingly enough, the bird is flying over 4 mysterious people dressed in white, and one of these people also appeared in the prologue anticipated by a bluebird. Now since this album doesn't have a diary, this time we can only rely on the videos to understand what's this about, but my personal guess is that the bluebird can be seen as a symbol of their rebellion. The little bluebird who lost its voice, for instance, can be interpreted in different ways. The bird can symbolize the pirates who sang for the revolution but were eventually silenced, but even better, it can also represent the witness themselves, the people who lost their right to self-expression. Either way, the animal seems to embody the voice of the voiceless and their wish for rebellion, and if this is the case, then the bluebird might also have a real-life historical inspiration. You see, in Korea, Bluebird also happens to be a very famous folk song from the 19th century. This song seemingly originated during a peasant revolution, and according to the lore, the lyrics refer to a general that is regarded as the Korean version of Robin Hood. In the song, this figure is nicknamed Green Bean General, and according to the legend, he fought the corrupt officials in order to steal their treasures and give them to the poor. All in all, both the song and its protagonist refer to a story of rebellion where people revolted against the government to regain their freedom, so it's very plausible that in the story the bluebird might have the same significance. In a way, it's like the Mockingjay in the Hunger Games, if you will. It's a symbol of defiance, rebellion, but also of the hope that was lost after the pirates disappeared. In the account of the witness, the arrival of ATEEZ gave the bluebird its voice back, and from a little whisper, this voice will grow to change the world. In the video, this growth is also represented by the witnesses themselves, who throughout the video grow in number and eventually help ATEEZ regain control. The way I see it, the people in white who are led by the bluebird can be seen as the newest members of the resistance. They are new people who got awakened by the song of the bluebird and are now ready to join the revolution. If you look closely, they are not only dressed in white, but we can also see a round symbol on their jacket. This outfit is similar to the uniform of the students of the Prestige Academy, and at the end of Guerrilla we saw one of the children reaching out to the resistance after being awakened by their intervention. In a similar way, it's possible that the 4 people might be the newest witnesses to this change. They might have been awakened and now they will be joining the ranks because they wish to live a real life. As Eunjung says in his verse, these people want to feel. They want to love, they want to breathe, they want to dance a real dance and dream a real dream. But it's difficult because in this world even love has been swallowed up. The only way to regain their freedom to live is to join a movement that will last forever, but in order to do that, every witness has to uncover the truth hidden by fear. This finally leads us to Mingi's verse, where the speaker has a conversation with himself in front of the mirror. Now this is actually a very important part here, because the whole mirror conversation refers to a very specific part of the lore. You see, in the Streetland, Z did many things to enforce his control over the population. He banned art, used mind control, weaponized AI, he did all of that and even more, but one specific thing that he did was actually to cover every mirror, window and reflective surface. In the Movement Diary, it's explained that mirrors are windows through which one can perceive oneself. At the beginning of Z's regime, for instance, mind control failed because people still had a sense of self. They saw themselves in the mirror and recognized themselves as individuals, so in order to keep people under control, Z ordered the removal of everything that you could see yourself in. In Guerrilla, we saw that part of ATEEZ's job involved uncovering windows and spreading mirrors, and this is because these objects contribute to the awakening of the population. In Halazia, Mingi's verse portrays this very process because in the back and forth between the man and the reflection, the two sides question each other's identity as well as their role in the future generations. In the song, the witness is awakening. They are regaining their sense of self, questioning what part they can play in the world, and as their hope for the future grows, so does their anger for the pain that they suffered. In the bridge, for instance, the lyrics wonder why they even allowed this to happen. What have they been so silent for? What did they disdain the darkness? And at this point, they decide that enough is enough. Now they want to feel, and they want Halazia to be the light in order to keep control and keep their soul. In the absence of the black pirates, ATEEZ were able to bring hope in a world out of balance, even if they don't really belong to that dimension. When he poses like the scarecrow, for instance, we see the Songwa's body begins to glitch. switch. Django's left eye refracts light, the right one doesn't, and Yuno is portrayed in a setting that heavily recalls the shape and sound of the chromer. These little details reminds us that they aren't really from that dimension, but despite of that, they took on the responsibility to save the world. As we see with Hongjung, for instance, he took over the role of the captain. Both Mingi and San want to find a way to fix the situation, and Yosang carries the chain that the black pirates carried before them. Like Songwa symbolically takes over the role of the pirate by mimicking the pose of the scarecrow, Django carries the flag, and Ouyang finds the fedora, which essentially represents everything that the pirates stood for. The moment they accept their role and become the light that people need, something incredible happens. The fedora catches fire, and the same thing happens to the scarecrow, who eventually disappears engulfed by the flames. Now this is actually a very cool imagery, because even if the scenes might seem a bit ominous, I actually think that the fire might have a very positive meaning here. If we take a look at Hala Hala, for instance, the black pirates' intervention is associated with burning fire. The flames represent their passion, their drive, their mission, so if anything, the fire burning what's left of the pirates means that despite of their absence, their ideals live on through ATEEZ. Now more than ever, Halazia is alive, because the hearts are awakening and people want to feel again. If before ATEEZ the people had the scarecrow as the final symbol of their hope, now the revolution is being born again like a phoenix. From the burning ashes of the black pirates, ATEEZ rise again as the new hope of the street land, and this new light finally brings a change. The witnesses that until now passively watched ATEEZ finally take action. They're not just witnesses anymore, but also active agents of the revolution. If in this world even gravity disappeared, they're bringing back the natural order of things. They're taking control, and they intend to keep it in order to win. By the end, their effort pays off. Led by San, the people bring down the giant sphere, and in a surprising turn of events, it crashes on San himself, disappearing in a wave of sound resonating like a bell. That is the same sound that announced their first appearance into this world. It's a sound that can symbolize a call for action, a time for change, maybe even a sign that hope is finally coming back. To see how this story will continue, we'll have to wait and see, but in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.